Education. I would like to welcome all of you on this auspicious occasion to felicitate and acknowledge the meritorious work of great teachers. We all know about the popular saying, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. And
the next award is a very, very special award in the sense that the Professor, why we talked about Professor Y.K. Bhushan. Now we are going to talk about Professor Sharu Rangnekar. Professor Sharu Rangnekar, I'm sure the people who are present here, the people are not present even here, all the fraternity, the education fraternity and the corporate fraternity, they cannot afford to forget the name of Professor Sharu Rangnekar. Because Professor Sharu Rangnekar used to be a corporate person. He became a CEO of a company, leading company at a very young age. He turned into a consultant, turned into a trainer, learning and development expert actually. And after that, there was no looking back. And Professor Sharu Rangnekar became, a role model. A role model and the gurus for many of us in terms of the teaching, learning, and activities, and so on and so forth. We were very close to each other, and there was not a single occasion in the city of Bombay where Professor Sharu Rangnekar did not used to come unless and until he was sick or he was not well. And it was a shocking news to us when we suddenly when they came to know that the Professor Sharu Rangnekar is not there. And the minimum thing what we could do, I think that's the only thing we could do to carry forward his legacy, is to institute an award in his name. And we also took the consent of Swati. I think she has joined from the USA, his daughter, in this particular matter. And we looked into the contributions of Professor Sharu Rangnekar in the various areas. And finally, he was a multifaceted personality. Finally, we what you call zeroed on in a particular area, and that is ethical leadership. I don't know how many of you know or not. Wherever I have interacted with Professor Sharu Rangnekar, I have interacted at least with him for, let's say, 40, 50 times. That's the minimum number of times physically. I'm talking about over telephone, maybe another 40, 50 times. Everywhere, the common denominator of our talk used to be the ethics. Common denominator used to be the ethical leadership, and so on and so forth. And therefore, we thought that whenever we institute an award in the name of the Professor Sharu Rangnekar, it is going to be in the area, specifically area of ethical leadership. And therefore, this particular award is going to be, next award is the first Professor Sharu Rangnekar Memorial Award for the ethical leadership. And then we have started our search. It was a very difficult thing, to find out. And I don't say difficult thing, but it is a little bit of a thing to find out an ethical leader, true ethical leader I'm talking about, that who have been followed the ethical principles all throughout his life, somewhere there, but there are no more in the world today. And finally, we boiled down to one particular person who is a very close friend of mine. I know him for last 10, 15 years. And not only that, he is also very close to Professor Sharu Rangnekar and is known in the field of education as an ethical leader. He is Professor Varun Arya, the founder and the director of the Aravali Institute of Management, Jodhpur. Professor Varun Arya once again has got a very interesting career track record. If you look at his career and track record, it's very interesting. He's a graduate from the IIT Delhi. He's a postgraduate from the IIM Ahmedabad. He had got a very exchequered corporate career for about 15, 16 years. And he decided to shift towards academics. And then, along with the support and patronage of the Maharaja of Jodhpur, he started this Aravali Institute of Management. But it has been a long journey, ethical fight. I think Professor Varun Arya will talk more about it. So the first award, the Professor Sharu Rangnekar in the area of the ethical leadership goes to Professor Varun Arya. Professor Varun Arya, we are thankful that we are able to hear, despite the internet cut by the Rajasthan government. So Varun Arya, the floor is open to you.
Good morning to everybody. First of all, my grateful thanks to Dr. A.K. Sengupta and HEF team for choosing me for this first award in memory of Professor Sharu Rangnekar, who has been truly a friend, philosopher, and guide for me for almost 4 decades. In fact, exactly 10 years back, in September 2011, HEF had honored me with award for outstanding contribution to the profession of teaching in the areas of values and ethics. And therefore, this is in a way a second award for me from HEF in the area of ethics. I had met Professor Sharu Rangnekar for the first time in June 1982. when Professor Rangnekar was about 53 years, and he had just resigned as MD of Managing Director of Searle India Limited and began a new career as a management consultant. And I was attending my summer internship in Bombay from IIM Ahmedabad, and I was just about 22. Since then, we kept in touch and our relationship flourished. Of course, there have been umpteen meetings and interactions with Professor Rangnekar, especially when he stayed at our home in Jodhpur during his visit to Jodhpur for teaching at our institute. There are too many memories related with Professor Rangnekar, but I will, and he was a unique person in many ways. I will mention, since this award is in memory of him, just few of his unique characterizing aspects. First was commitment. I think Dr. Sengupta mentioned about it. I will mention one incident. It was on 25th of December 2001 when I took our students to Bombay for meeting the CEOs of the corporate. The visit was for a week. Professor Rangnekar told me when we were finalizing the program about 15 days in advance that on 25th December, he would come in the morning and give toffees and chocolates and cakes to our students as a true Santa Claus. And I told him that we would leave by 8:30. So he said I would come at 7:30. At 7:30, when I was at on the gate of the place where we were staying, Professor Rangnekar got down from black and white, black and yellow taxi. I found his clothes were in a bad shape, and his face was also, looking painful. So I asked him, "Sir, what happened? You are not looking your usual cheerful." He said that his wife suddenly became unwell, and she was in ICU. Now she's in coma. I said, "Sir, then you should not have come." He said, "No, I had promised, so I'm here." So despite his wife being in coma in a serious condition, he came at the time we had fixed and distributed chocolates, cakes, and toffees to our students. I mean, there are endless stories about him. He was a person of not management consultant. I think he was a person of management role model and management stories. The second thing unique about him was age is just a number. He passed away when he was 93 years of his age. On 2nd November 2018, at the insistence of his daughter Swati and son-in-law Vijay, he decided to celebrate his 90th birthday, but only selected about 100 people who were closest to him. Me and my wife Anita were privileged to be invited. We flew down and went to Bombay, and from airport we went straight to his house. It was around 6:30, and we went to the venue, which was a garden at on the ground floor of his building. Professor Rangnekar was sitting there alone. We met him, and we had honor to spend time with him before the people started coming. The time given to us 7 o'clock. He received each guest personally. Time became 10:30, and during this function, he went and met to each guest and spent time with. Around 10:30, some people told him, "Uncle." I mean, whereas some of the people calling him uncle, they were looking like his uncle. Said that, "Sir, now it is 10:30. You go back to your flat." He rebuked them. He said, "No, I will sit here till the last person." And he saw each person, and he was the last person to leave. I think that speaks a lot about the approach of a person despite being 90 years. Third, I think I would like to talk about the vocation and the passion. while he became management consultant, but his passion was shairi. He never left it. Very few people would know that while he wrote books on management and some of the bestsellers, he also wrote a book on shairi. And whenever he came to our institute over the years, right from 2000, we always had his shairi session along with the pakoda party, and where he shared, and he also believed that, and firmly believed that whatever you do it well. He was a rare person who had accountability, transparency, and responsiveness. And the last, but not the least, he had absolutely a great amount of fortitude, despite having lost his two sons at a very young age, and his wife in January 2002. He was always active, meaningfully active, and always had a great sense of humor. And whenever he came to Jodhpur, me, my wife, and he, three of us used to go for eating out. He loved the good food, and we used to go out for movie, and we used to really enjoy, and he treated both of us as though we were his children. I can go on and on, but it is truly, I'm honored to be given this first award in his memory. And he's a person, all those who came in touch with him, they will never forget his uniqueness in more ways than one. Thank you very much.